Hey folks, welcome to another Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Last time, highlighted the importance of choosing happiness specifically for as it relates to fitness facility leadership and recognizing the importance of being objective. Looking at your staff, looking at your facility and recognizing there's good to be found everywhere, but you just have to look for it. That is so important for your own happiness as well as the happiness of your staff to choose happiness. And I promise you, you won't lose people. Your retention rates will be better. You'll just have happier employees and a happier facility in general. And I also pointed out last week, gave some helpful hints regarding Crunch Fitness's national expansion. I'm actually going to dedicate an entire episode to Crunch Fitness on my next series, my next multi-part series, which will be on the value of competitive analysis. And I've actually changed the timing of that. I had planned it to be late May, early June, but it will actually kick off 3 weeks from today. I'm going to dedicate a whole episode to Crunch. Just a lot of exciting things going on at Crunch, but also just to give a little few helpful hints. Here, got to show some love for my Metro Detroit folks. Here in Metro Detroit, as I mentioned on the last episode, think 25 and 5, in case you missed it. 25 locations of Crunch Fitness in 5 years here in Metro Detroit is the plan. So stay tuned for that. But folks, I wanted to get back on the happiness track here for gym goers. But there's also lessons, and in this episode will be lessons for fitness facility leadership and owners and things like that, general managers. It doesn't matter what your role is. I try to be inclusive with these episodes in terms of lessons to be learned. And folks, I had just a quick recap also, had a wonderful workout Monday, April 9th at the Washtenaw County Community Fitness Center, which is located in Ann Arbor. Had a wonderful workout. I actually highlighted that facility last year. First discovered that facility in the fall of 2016. That facility was used as a backdrop for a New York Times article on weight loss. So just a great facility. I think it's about 70 or 80,000 square feet, 2 levels. 7,000 members under contract, a very, very busy gym, higher end gym, but I'm going to talk more about that facility on the value of competitive analysis. But regarding my workout, folks, my cardio was just great. Started off with my beloved Precore EFX machine, and then headed on over to the Precore AMT, then headed over to the Octane lateral trainer, and then wrapped up just the cardio section of mine on the basketball court, twirling baton. So it was super cool, but stay tuned for some best practices in that series on the value of competitive analysis. But back to happiness. So important, not only in the fitness realm, but in life in general. You gotta choose happiness. Happiness is a choice. And so this episode, I wanted to focus on the importance of confidence and authenticity. Just are you comfortable in your own skin? Do you know who you are? Are you always trying to be someone else or be who someone else thinks you should be or anything like that? Please the masses, wearing masks and things like that, being fake, just to put it bluntly. Folks, I challenge you on your fitness journey, be authentic. Be authentic. And I alluded to some of that in the last episode. The importance of recognizing what your likes are, what your dislikes are. If you're miserable on your fitness journey, if you've been struggling for years, not seeing results, it is probably because you were doing something that you really don't want to be doing, or you're doing something with someone that you don't want to be doing with, or you're just failing to accept the reality that what you're doing isn't working. So there's some lack of happiness. Perhaps you're doing a group fitness class when you want to be a lone ranger, or you're working out outside and you're like me, you prefer indoor climate controlled facility workouts. Gotta examine what you're doing and recognize what is working and what is not working and make the necessary changes. But in order to be successful, you gotta be authentic. You gotta really just recognize deep down, this is me and this isn't me. And recognize you gotta make the necessary changes in order to be successful. So when it comes to authenticity, that is certainly a life trait of mine that I truly value. The Rachelle that you see and hear right now is the Rachelle that you will come here in my house and see, that you will see in the grocery store, that you will see giving a presentation in front of a corporate audience. It doesn't matter. I'm always going to be Rachelle is going to be Rachelle. And so when I think about it, there's a couple of different things regarding my own authenticity that definitely mark me and just definitely describe me when it comes to, particularly inside of a gym. And that is, I love music. I mean, I have had a reputation for a very long time as the dancing lady at the gym. I mean, People, I mean, it's just that has always been an enduring nickname of mine. The dancing lady at the gym. Yes, I love my music. Yes, I dance. And in fact, it was funny. This was about a month after I transferred from the Novi Planet Fitness to the Planet Fitness and Commerce, which I call the PF Michigan Country Club, PF Michigan Commerce Country Club. And so, folks, this lady approached me as I was getting off the recumbent bike. I remember it. And she said, sorry to interrupt you. And I said, no problem. And then she says, we see you work out in here and you're such an inspiration because you're so uninhibited. Like, you enjoy your workouts, you go from machine to machine, you dance, you do it all. And I said, you know what, and folks, see, I wish I could have had like a humble response, but I didn't. I should have, looking back, I could have been more humble and said, well, it's, getting confidence and being comfortable in my own skin was a journey. And, I'm able to just be free and just be uninhibited, everything like that now. But my response to her was, well, you want to know why that is? Because I don't give a rat's behind what people think about me. And, but it's true, but it took me years of, to have this mindset. But that's just an example. I dance. I have a good time. I love life. And so that's obviously going to be reflected in the gym. And I'll definitely tell you this quickly. The music selection, when I'm taking a shower, and I told you I'm addicted to taking showers at the gym now at Planet Fitness, they do an excellent job. Regardless of locations, the bathrooms are just excellent condition always. So when I'm in there taking a shower, I've determined the time between about 8:45 and 9:15 a.m. They play music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So you'll see me, well, you won't see me, but I'm in there jamming in the shower to, it could be Leonard Skinner's Sweet Home Alabama, to one morning it was OMC, How Bizarre. That was reminding me of the 90s. One morning it was Milli Vanilli, Girl, You Know It's True. And one morning when I was in Shreveport, one of my old childhood favorites, Jody Watley, I'm Looking for a New Love, came on. So I just had a great time in there, taking a shower and listening to the music. I love, love, love music. So again, but that's just, I'm authentic, and that's going to reflect in the gym. But also, secondly, another big area is I am not social at the gym. I'm just not. I'm very focused, and I recognize now that I'm one of those focused people that when I'm focused, like, I don't like to be interrupted. Like, I go to the gym, and there's several reasons for that. Because number one, most people in gyms are struggling. I mean, again, based on what I do professionally, most people, and I know that, most people are struggling with motivation. Most people are unhappy. And I'm in the gym typically between about 4 and 7 in the morning. And I'm not trying to hear people's problems. I'm not trying to hear negativity. I'm not trying to give people motivation and motivational tips and get people pumped up to work out. So there's various reasons for that. I just go like, that's my me time. I like to focus. I like to work out and to be left alone, quite frankly. And so that's always been the case. That will always be the case. And so, but fortunately at the PF Commerce Country Club, it is a more refined environment, and that's why I refer to it as a country club environment. It is more refined. So fortunately, when people do interrupt you, they'll say things like, sorry to interrupt you, sorry to bother you, excuse me for a minute, and I have no problem with that. Just for me personally, when I just absolutely hate it, and we all have pet peeves, but I hate it in the gym when somebody just walks up to me and starts talking, just has some conversation, and I'm trying to work out, and I have earbuds on, and my body language screams, I don't want to be bothered, but it's just going to happen in gyms because people are people. And I know definitely, again, because it's a more refined environment, people at the Commerce Club are very, very respectful, very good about that. Was a couple of times, actually in January also, I was fairly new at that club. I was stretching, doing a hamstring stretch. For those who don't know, that's where you're basically, down touching your toes. So I had my hat pulled down, covering my eyes, and I had my earbuds in, as I always do. And this one gentleman comes up and just starts talking to me and says, oh, I have family in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, home of LSU. And so I was like, sir, okay, that's great. Okay. So much more patient, much more compassionate. And then this guy, one other time, I was on a stationary bike, and this guy comes up to me and says, I notice you always have on LSU stuff. And again, I'm actually have a book in my hand with my earbuds in. And I'm like, okay, there's nothing that screams more, I don't want to be bothered, than that. But this guy comes up to me and says, I notice you have on LSU stuff all the time. Do you have a boy that goes there or something? And I'm like, no. And just put my earbuds in and just kept right on back to reading. And so, again, much more patient, much more compassionate. And that's just, again, recognizing, hey, there's a lot of first-time gym goers. I want to keep everybody. I just don't want to be squashing anybody's motivation or spirit or anything like that. So much more compassionate, much more patient, and understanding than I've been at past gyms. My responses are definitely much more compassionate than they used to be. And so because I'm sensitive to that motivation issue. But again, I'm being real. I don't want to be bothered. And I'm going to be very assertive, as I've always been, and let people know, as I do. I let people know that, I'm not a fan of being interrupted. This is my me time. I just like to focus and work out, because I recognize if you're brand new to a gym, then you don't know. When you see somebody with earbuds in, if you don't know that, folks, anyone who doesn't know that is screaming, I don't want to be bothered. And you have to proceed with caution, but also be very respectful and say, well, sorry to interrupt you, or sorry to interrupt your workout, or sorry to bother you. It doesn't matter. Even me, I will just immediately start smiling and take my earbuds out and just have the conversation. So that is that. Folks, I wanted to close out this episode, again, speaking to, first-time gym goers and things like that, and etiquette issues. This is actually something, again, I've had a very compassionate response, something that happened earlier this year. I was in the gym one morning at the PF Commerce Club, and this one guy was going around. I was actually in the weight machine area. But this one guy was going around, and this is something that happens in gyms everywhere. But I was surprised to see it happening in Planet Fitness. But there's this one guy going around giving unsolicited advice to people on weight machines who, in their form, was fine. They were just doing fine. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, that was a John Quinones moment where I'm looking around like, is this really happening? Like, is John Quinones, is this a setup? Please tell me this man is not going around doing this. And I usually don't mention these type of things, but it's relevant to this particular example because of the ramifications that could eventually happen. And so this guy's going around, and yes, there's parodies of it, things like this that happen on YouTube videos and things like that, where you'll typically have a trainer doing that kind of stuff, or you'll have somebody, as was the case in this example, someone who's severely deconditioned or out of shape, just to say it plainly, giving advice to other people. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, is this a setup? Is this really happening? And when I'm at the gym, I typically zone out. So it was a surprise that I actually even realized what was going on. And so a big no-no that happens in gyms, a very big no-no, like giving it unsolicited advice. The trainer, Zach, as I've highlighted in previous episodes, he's a fantastic trainer, does an excellent job. He was up helping Tanisha. And I was thinking to myself, okay, now this is a bad situation. Like, this guy clearly doesn't know just the ramifications, probably first-time gym goer. And I said, okay, this is a bad situation. May not even be immediately bad, but this man is going to run into someone who is going to get ticked off and probably chew him out or curse him out. And this is going to create a scene. People don't like unsolicited advice, particularly for someone who isn't physically conditioned, doing that to them. Again, this is Planet Fitness is a judgment-free zone. People will feel judged. You could watch their reaction. I could watch their reaction and see that they were just not appreciating that. But then also, as I tend to do, thinking of the best. Hey, this guy's probably a first-time gym goer, doesn't recognize that this is a big no-no, and that people are going to eventually start complaining on him or just chew him out or curse him out, and it's just going to be a bad situation, because you will have people that, and they do, when that happens to them, they feel judged, they feel criticized, they feel not good enough, and then they quit the gym, or they leave the gym, or they cancel their memberships, or they make a scene with him, or they go start complaining on him, then he loses his membership. Just a bad situation. So long story short, I would think to myself, okay, so what do I do in this situation? But ultimately what I did, again, to save face for the people who are getting, criticized and judged and corrected form by this guy for no reason, but also, respect for this gentleman who clearly just didn't know and whatever, and was doing this and whatever, but also respect for the leadership of the club. Cody does an excellent job as general manager. Zach is a fantastic trainer. It's just a wonderful staff, a wonderful, outstanding facility. So for everybody involved, to save face, I just, approached the gentleman and said, well, sir, I can tell you have a big heart and you just want to help people. You really care about people, but I just want to let you know that recognize that people may not always take what you're saying in the right way. So just, recognize it's kind of a big gym no-no, because you never know how people are going to respond, whatever. And he was grateful and he was appreciative and understanding. And I think just that way, just out of respect for the leadership of the gym, I don't want them to lose one member over something that happens all the time. But especially in a Planet Fitness, I was like, it's John Quinones. Am I going to be on an episode of what would you do, just reacting to this situation that happened in a Planet Fitness with someone giving advice who shouldn't have been giving advice. But I am happy at my facility. But see, you can also see, just to maintain the happiness of that facility, the people who were getting, given the unsolicited advice as well as this gentleman. I want to keep everybody happy, just everybody working out, everybody motivated, just keep it going, But that's an example. But I care about the facility. I want the best for that facility and all facilities, not just Planet Fitness, but all facilities. And so I just had to demonstrate a little bit of, just concern and compassion in that situation to make sure that down the road, eventually it didn't blow up or turn into a bad situation where people were leaving. But that dynamic happens all the time. So next time, folks, I'm going to wrap up this happiness series talking about self-image, and then I've got 2 etiquette episodes queued up before I kick off the new series on the value of competitive analysis. But etiquette is so important, and that's why I'm going to pick up, have these 2 episodes queued up to help you to understand the value of etiquette and things to do and things not to do. These 2 guys that do this particular series, I show it typically about once a year, but they're out of New Jersey. They do a great job of making it slightly comical, but the realities of some of the gym no-nos that people do, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But folks, thanks so much for your time. Make it a wonderfully fit day.